everybody, crafting journey here. Don't forget, it is Pride Month, a la the outfit. Yeah, do I have enough colors on? um, welcome to the morning show. It's a Saturday edition of the morning show. I got stuff to do, guys. I got to go over and take the dogs out. Haven't done that yet. But it's early here. You're not going to see this video early because once I'm done recording it, I'm going to run over, while it's rendering, I'm going to run over and take the dogs out. Yep. And I'm trying like heck to avoid Hobby Lobby. I know they're having a clearance sale. But it's not close to where I live. It's actually about 20 miles like in the other direction. Like in no way am I going to be in that direction today. So unless I just deliberately go against my head that's saying don't do it. And you know how I love yarn. So happy Saturday. Couple of things. Friend mail. This was the friend mail that was stolen off my porch. Part of what was stolen off my porch. So I did, the person that sent it to me did get it replaced. It's another crochet hook. Look. These tulip hooks. This is a Etimo K hook, 6.5 millimeter tulip, made in Japan. And I love these hooks. Oh my God, they just glide through the yarn. Glide, I'm telling you. And thank you. This is from Narrate. Narrate supports my channel by sending me things so I can make more hats and more hooded scarves and all the little projects that I love. And it is deeply appreciated. So one of my subscribers got out of the hospital yesterday. You know who you are. I don't like to disclose health information on my channel, but you know who you are. I love you. I'm glad you're home. And rest up. What else is going on? Oh, kitten update. Let's do kitten update. Last night, oh my goodness. You know, by the time I got home from going over to my son's and doing the dogs, and it was exactly 7 o'clock. So I sat down to watch some of Mickey's show, and then I needed to go make some dinner. So I go make my dinner, and I decided I'm going to eat my dinner in bed. Wow. What was I doing? I was just going to watch some TV. The kittens had other thoughts. Stitch would not leave me alone. He wanted some of my dinner really bad. And it just never occurred to me that these cats would want human food. I don't know why that didn't occur to me. It just didn't. So I kept swatting him out of the way so I could eat. And then we had this huge thunderstorm come through. I mean, it was really loud, the thunder. So all three of the animals were like next to me on the bed, fighting for space. Like everybody had to be right next to Mommy. Stitch, Pearl, and Tootsie. So, but they still seem to enjoy their little area that I've created for them in the back room. They go right back to that little area. It's very cute. They're so playful. Oh my goodness, they're so Very, very active. Yesterday I thought Pearl was going to pull down my bedroom curtains. She was trying really hard because they're floor length curtains, and I think she thinks they're like something she can hang on. Oy vey. I'm going to have to look up how to train your kittens. Like, not to swing on the curtains, not to beg for your dinner. We shall see. I kept telling Stitch no, but he just wasn't getting the idea. Anyway. Oh, okay. So, yesterday, no, I did not go swimming. I had an hour of physical therapy. Oh my God, that guy, he's like a personal trainer. This is the hardest physical therapy I have ever had. But guys, it's working. My knee feels great. I do 10 minutes on the bicycle, 10 minutes on the elliptical, 10 minutes on this machine where it's called a sled, where you're basically doing squats, but you're laying down doing them. And then yesterday he took, because I had been doing them, with both feet. So yesterday he says, no, we're going to make this harder. So he takes the leg that I didn't have surgery on off the machine and tapes it to this scooter that's going to roll back and forth. And then I just have to do the squats one-legged for 10 minutes. I thought I was going to die. One-legged. And then he stretches me out real good. And also there's another part where I have to go up and down these stairs for 10 minutes. So last night, I fill up the tub with hot water because that's what, like, everything is screaming at me. So I fill up the tub with hot water. Now, I usually have, before I started physical therapy, I had great difficulty getting out of this tub. I mean, I just dreaded it. I could do it, but it was very difficult. Last night, when I went to get out of the tub, just got right up. Those squats are helping, guys. Got right out of the tub. No. Yeah, I was so surprised. I'm like, yay. And the pain is going away. There's still that little bit of neuropathy there, but no pain. And I'm loving it. So guys, physical therapy works. It works. Yes, it does. I tell people that. If you become more active, you have less pain. And I'm so proud of everybody that is doing the step challenge. You guys are doing awesome. And yes, I'm still working on the teacup. I don't know why it's taking me so long. I'm about ready to finish this section up and open up another section, but guess what came in the mail yesterday, guys? More mail, more mail. I'm not going to open it during the show, but a Diamond Art Club. Yes. But you guys know it's an Alice. It's an Alice. Look. Alice in the Sea of Tears. So look for that unboxing today. And it's round. Oh my gosh, it's round. It is 56 by 74. Totally doable. Not gonna lie. What size is this one here? I don't think it said. I needed to measure that. I'll measure it someday. I think I said I was going to measure it last time, but I didn't do that. Okay. Moving on. Thank you, Tia, for that slogan. Moving along. It is National Peanut Butter Cookie Day. Oh my God. Who doesn't love peanut butter cookies? Well, I'm sure there's somebody out there that doesn't love peanut butter cookies. Do you know peanut butter didn't even exist until the 1920s. And the first company to come out with peanut butter was Peter Pan. Did you know that was the first company? I didn't. And all kinds of recipes existed for peanuts for many years, but not peanut butter cookies. So all of us, so someone, they don't really know who to attribute it to, came up with peanut butter cookies. And oh my God, they're so good. And the other big mystery is why do we need to they have to have the fork marks in it, right? You got to put the fork marks in the peanut butter cookie. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows who started that, but it's not a peanut butter cookie unless you put the fork marks in it. Yeah. Now, at the hospital, they make these fresh cookies that are to die for. And every now and then, for the most part, it's chocolate chip, but every now and then they'll throw out some peanut butter ones. They don't put the fork in the peanut butter. Nope. So you just kind of have to investigate. Is this really peanut butter or is it a sugar cookie? But they're so delicious. Yes, they are. And of course, no calories, right? No calories whatsoever. Yep. I'm lying. So, do you love peanut butter cookies? I do. I do. I do. Hi, Tootsie. What are you doing? What's going on, girl? Hi. You want to say hi to everybody? Hello. Hello. And welcome to the show. Yeah. What you doing? Yeah, we're going to go see your mommy daddy soon. Yeah. We're going to. Gracie and Otis are her mom and dad, so she loves to visit with them. Okie dokie. Okay. Judge, jury, and jury. Okay. If you have missed any of this FSU law professor murder trial, I have created a playlist, as I do with all of the cases that I cover. If you've missed any of the episodes for any of the cases, just check out my playlist. You can find the episode and catch up on what you've missed. And if you didn't get to see the last trial, that was a doozy. So this one is the murder of the FSU law professor. Now, I'm still on day 2. We're not even going to finish day 2. It was packed with evidence. So let's find out where we start. Here we go, day 2. So they put on a couple of what we call digital forensic analysts. I think that's the name of it. But you get the idea. Their job is to download cell phone records. So, and it all comes off this program called Cellbrite. Now, we've learned that from other cases that they're using this program, law enforcement is using this program called Cellbrite, that to get phone records. It's all pursuant to a subpoena. They tell the phone companies whose records they want or what cell tower they want records off of. And then they're able to get records. So these 2 individuals were there to testify that and it took 2 people because they got a lot of records in this case. In this case, they pulled Charlie Adelson's phone. Actually, they were able to get everything off of Charlie Adelson's phones, not just his phone records, but everything off his phone. Every single thing, his photos, his everything. And that was with his permission. And then they were able to get everything off of the phone of Katie McBanawa, the lady that's on trial, and Wendy Adelson. So those 3 phones, they had like complete copies of those 3 phones, their photos, their contacts, everything that was on those phones. So I thought that was really interesting. So we're not going to, all that was put into evidence, and we're going to hear about it later. But for now, they just had to put the officers on to sort of authenticate how they do that, because most jurors don't know how that's done. I can't talk today. What is wrong with me? So then they put on the investigating officer. Now things are getting real. As part of his investigation, he reviews the divorce file for Wendy Adelson and Dan Markel, the victim. And he said it's pretty extensive. You know, both these people are lawyers. Dan Markel, I'll just tell you this. You know, this was not testified to, but from my research, Dan Markel went to Harvard. He grew up in Toronto, very Jewish, very, he was kosher. Wendy wasn't. That was one of their conflicts. Um, Grew up in Toronto, always said, I want to go to Harvard. He went to Harvard. Um, he worked in Washington for a long time. And he met Wendy Adelson on JDate. Yeah, which is a Jewish dating site. So they met on JDate. She at the time they met was attending University of Miami Law School. So they met, they started this long distance relationship and eventually fell in love and got married. So, but things went south. He comes home one day and just out of the blue, just comes home one day. The house is empty. Furniture's gone, kids are gone, and there's a note or there's a divorce paperwork sitting on the bed. Totally blindsided him, this woman, Wendy. So anyway, this is all in the divorce file. And one of the more recent motions, the divorce was final in March of 2014, a month, 3-4 months before the murder. But they're still filing motions back and forth, back and forth. And one of the things that Dan Markel is claiming is that Wendy Adelson, kitten alert, is that Wendy Adelson, when she filed her financial affidavit, didn't lied on the affidavit. So he's asking the court to sanction her for lying on her affidavit, and she said she's hiding money, that there were more assets than she admitted to on her affidavit. So that never got resolved before the murder. And the other motion that Dan Markel filed was stating that the grandmother he wanted the judge to rule that the grandmother should have supervised visitation because she had been disparaging him in front of his kids. His kids came home and said, hey, grandma said you're stupid, grandma says you're, this, grandma says that. So he files this motion, which also never got heard by a judge before his murder, interestingly enough. Now, before the divorce is final, she took those kids and went back to Broward County, which is South Florida. Now, Tallahassee is in way North Florida. If you're not familiar with Florida, it's about a 6-hour drive, I'm going to say, maybe more, to get from South Florida to Tallahassee. If you're going at a good speed and you're taking an interstate. So she took those kids to South Florida. Well, the judge said, no, you cannot do that. You cannot remove those kids from Leon County, which is where they lived in Tallahassee. So she had to come back and set up her home in Tallahassee. She hated Tallahassee. She had written this book about a woman. It was a fictional book, but it was about a woman, and it was a fictional town, but you could tell the town was Tallahassee. So she writes it about this fictional town in Florida. And the woman hates the town, and she ends up leaving her husband. Now, unfortunately, Dan should have read the book. He never read the book because he doesn't read fiction. He's a no-nonsense professor. Dan Markel had this blog, a crime and punishment blog. It was one of his favorite topics. He really advocated that the punishment should fit the crime. he wasn't about rehabilitation. He was about punishment. If you commit a crime, you should be punished for it. You know, so he had this blog. She wrote a book, and so their lives were not really on the same page. And she hated Tallahassee. She had said she would give it a try, but and now a judge is forcing her to live in Tallahassee because she cannot remove her children from that county. So she was not a happy camper. Now, the next thing that this detective did was he reviewed emails between. Now we know we've got the download of Wendy Adelson's phone. So he reviewed emails off of Wendy's phone. There were emails between her and her mother, Donna, saying, what can we do to Dan to get her to, let her move these kids to South Florida. So they were going to threaten Dan with converting the kids to Catholicism. Now, I already told you, he's very devout Jewish. Like, he does the Shabbat thing on Friday, and they don't, that's where in the Jewish faith, if you're really into it, everything shuts down at 3:00 Friday. No electronics, no televisions, no vehicles. You don't work. So it's from 3:00 on Friday until sundown Saturday evening. You're pretty much homebound. So one of the ideas was, let's convert the kids to Catholicism. Now that would have pissed him off royally. The other idea is, like, let's bribe him. Between your brother and your father and I, we can come up with $1 million. Let's bribe him. And then the other idea was to, and this was her brother's idea, put a hit out on Dan Markel. And I think he said it jokingly. He said, we could put a hit out on him, but, I'll buy you a television that'll be cheaper. I don't know what that means. Anyway. Then the detective talked about interviewing family members. He interviewed Wendy Adelson. Well, on the day of the murder, Wendy was having that same television that her brother bought her repaired. Then she went out to lunch with a friend, and then a police officer found her at the restaurant. I don't know how he found her at the restaurant, but he finds her at this restaurant. It's a very small community. He finds her at this restaurant and takes her to the police station where this detective that's on the stand informs her that, what happened to Dan. So she breaks out, sobbing and crying and just, overwhelmed with emotion. And that was the one and only interview of Wendy Markel. She left town the next day, never to be seen again. Never seen again. Well, in Tallahassee. Let me put it that way. Of course she was seen again, but she never stepped foot in Tallahassee again. He requested that Donna Adelson, the mother, come to the police department for an interview. She refused. She wouldn't come. Now, Harvey Adelson, who is Donna's husband, the grandfather in all this, he was also requested to come for an interview. Wouldn't do it. So the family was being really uncooperative here. He said he called Wendy and asked, said, I want to interview you again, and she hung up on him. On a detective. Nope, bye. Yeah. Then he reviewed the surveillance video from the Premier Gym. So we got to see that surveillance video finally. So we see Dan walking. So we see him pulling into the parking lot in his. He's got like a dark colored SUV. He's pulling into the parking lot. He parks, and then he goes, you see him walking into the gym. And then right after he's walking into the gym, you see this Prius come into the parking lot. And they kind of circle the parking lot and kind of find a parking space way out in the parking lot. Then that was at 9:12, he enters the gym. At 10:38, he comes out of the gym, gets back in his car, pulls out, and then as he's pulling out of the parking lot, you see the Prius following him. Then this detective reviewed the city bus footage, and you could see the bus is stopped, and you see Dan's vehicle go by the cross street, and then you see the Prius following Dan in a route that would have taken him to his house. Then at 10:44, we see that same bus with more footage that shows this Prius that's continuing to follow Dan Markel. Then we get a different bus showing, which at the time of this second bus footage would have been after the murder, and you see the Prius on this road headed towards the interstate. So what this detective did was he requested all of the cell phone, he wanted every cell phone number from that time frame that would have been in or around the Premier Gym. And he got it. And what they do is they just find the closest tower, and they can isolate the phone calls that were within that time, and then he has a bunch of phone numbers to go off of. And then what he did with those is he compared those to the family's cell phone records. Now, keep in mind, everything that he's testifying to took 2 years. Then he recognizes that, from close-ups of those video footage, that there's a SunPass transponder in the Prius. So he first asks SunPass if he can have all the records for every Prius that they have. And apparently there are a lot of Priuses in Florida. So too numerous for that to be a feasible request. So then he was able to narrow it down for them. And he gave them, I want, any Prius that went through this location and this location between this time and this time. And it's still, that narrowed it down to one Prius. So then by that, they knew the movements of the Prius from Tallahassee to South Florida and vice versa. And then they were able to find out that transponder was purchased by a rental car company. So they go to the rental car company. He finds the rental car contract for that particular vehicle, and Luis Rivera is the one that rented it. But also on the contract is listed, and listed as his brother is Sigfredo Garcia. So now we've got, and there's phone numbers on that rental car contract for both of them. So now we get to pull the phone records for Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. So, and then he also went onto their Facebook accounts and searched to find contacts. Based on this, he was able to also request the phone records of Wendy, Donna, Harvey, and Magnanua. Now, he found Magnanua through the Facebook account of these two gentlemen. She was on their Facebook account. And the defense says no more questions. Now, I have lots of questions. That that couldn't possibly be the end. But what she does is she'll reserve the right to call these witnesses later on. So we may see this witness back, this investigator back, to tell us more. But now the defense attorneys of both defendants will get to cross-examine this guy. So this is where I left off, because this is a lot of information, and super intriguing. Oh, it gets better. It gets way better, guys. Super intriguing trial. Absolutely. What's going on, Tootsie Too? Tootsie. I call her Tootsie too because growing up we had a Tootsie. That's where I got the name. My dad and we had a Tootsie. So she's Tootsie too. Yeah. You're a good girl. Because people are like, where do you get that name? Oh, it was from another dog that I had growing up. I love the name. Okay. Let's do this day in history. Now, this is also a very interesting murder case. Okay, this is June 12th, 1994. So about 6:30 p.m., this woman, she had been to her daughter's dance recital. She's having dinner with her mom and some friends. It's in a Brentwood neighborhood. It's a restaurant called Mezzaluna. Her mother accidentally leaves her glasses, so the waiter decides he's going to go find, based on, I guess she paid by credit card. So he looks her up, he finds her, he's going to go to her house and return the glasses. That's when this whole thing starts. A guy by the name of Brian Kalin, and we all know him as Cato, who's a house guest at the Brown home. He hears a thumping noise on the opposite side of his wall, and he goes outside to investigate. Now, meanwhile, a neighbor spots, and the woman's name was Nicole Brown. He spots Brown's white Ikea by itself barking with bloody paws. Ooh. I think you guys have guessed where this case is going. At 11:01, the limo driver, Alan Park, sees his client leaving the home. A few minutes later, he drives that client to the airport for a flight to Chicago. At 11:45, that client of his boards and takes off and goes to Chicago. So, interesting, huh? Then at 12:10 a.m., Nicole Brown's dog leads the neighbors to the dead bodies of the waiter and Nicole Brown. Now, the waiter was Ronald Goldman, and Nicole Brown was O.J. Simpson's wife or ex-wife. I don't remember. Girlfriend, wife, whatever. She's dead. At 4:15 a.m., Simpson is checking into a hotel. O.J. Simpson. He's checking into a hotel in Chicago. At 4:30 a.m., police arrive at the mansion and the investigation begins. Now, I think you guys know, fast forward, O.J. comes back. Once they inform him that Nicole Brown is dead, this is the mother of his child. She's dead. He returns to L.A. He didn't do it. Even though there was so much evidence. There's his DNA is on the scene. Their DNA is in his vehicle. His vehicle is all bloody. But then days later, he leads the police on this 60-mile chase through L.A. It was nationally televised. Interrupted the NBA Finals on national television to show this chase. He's got his friend in the vehicle. He's in the back of the vehicle. His friend's driving. He's got a disguise. He's got money. He's clearly planning to flee. And the police chase him for a good long time, and he finally gives himself up. Anyway, there's this huge trial, lots of famous lawyers. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. It would take me a week. And the part that we all remember is his defense attorney, Johnny Cochran, has him stand up in front of the jury and try on these bloody gloves, one of which was found in his car. Bloody gloves, and they're too tight. According to Johnny Cochran, they're too tight. So if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. So the jury acquitted him. He got away with it. I remember where I was. Do you remember where you were when you heard the verdict of this trial? I was in law school. I was attending law school. I don't even remember what year I was in law school, but I remember they had a big television out in the lobby, and everybody was gathered around, and this is a bunch of law students, and we were shocked. We were like, oh, what? Because the evidence was overwhelming against this guy. Overwhelming evidence. Anybody else would have been thrown in the slammer for life or death penalty. In this case, the prosecution opted not to seek the death penalty. No idea why. Now, in a civil suit, which, the burden of proof in a civil suit is less. It's by greater weight of the evidence. And so he was found responsible for the death of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown. And he was ordered to pay $33 million, none of which he's paid, or very little. He hasn't paid very much of that at all. Then later on, he goes on to he breaks into this place where he steals some sports memorabilia, saying that it was his, that had been stolen from him, so he was just trying to get it back. Anyway, he's sentenced to like 30 years in jail, but in 2017 he got out of jail, so he is a free man to this day. Yeah, walking among us. Yeah, interesting. I know you guys all have your opinions about that, but doing my research this morning and looking at what the evidence showed. Now, I have to admit, I wasn't the juror. I wasn't sitting in the courtroom. The police work was very shoddy. There was a claim that Mark Furman, one of the investigating officers, was racist, and this was all a setup against O.J. Simpson. I don't know. I'd love to hear from those jurors, like why. I'm going to look that up and see why they felt he was not guilty, because I'm curious what convinced him that he was not guilty. Maybe he was not guilty. I don't know. Clearly that's what they thought. Anyway, I have got to get on with my day. Got to go take those dogs out. Yes, they're sitting over at my son's house with their legs crossed, waiting for Grandma to come let them out. All right, guys. Have a great Saturday. I hope to see you in one of the Zooms or in a live somewhere. Or just at home. Anyway, love you all. Bye. Have a great day.